Good morning and welcome to the show. The topic this morning is the Senior Citizens Incorporated, and we're fortunate to have two members of that organization with us this morning to talk about some of the activities and some of the programs involved in Senior Citizens Incorporated. With me this morning is my first guest, Ms. JJarnigan, who is the Executive Director of Senior Citizens Incorporated of Nashville, Tennessee. And with Ms. Jarnigan is Ms. DSellers, who is the Director of the Hadley Park Senior Citizens Center here in Nashville, Tennessee. And let me welcome both you ladies to the show this morning, dealing with what I consider to be this very, very important topic. Ms. Jarnigan, to start us off this morning, let's talk about some of the parameters in reference to the Senior Citizens Incorporated. Exactly what are we talking about dealing in terms of programs and perhaps in terms of activities?
Okay. Actually, this year is the 35th anniversary of Senior Citizens Incorporated, and there's a need now in the community that's growing tremendously for our services. We've had a very successful, long history. As you may know, 2/3 of the people who've ever lived to be over the age of 65 in the entire history of the world are alive today. And so that means that there's a tremendous need for the services we provide in the community. We serve senior adults and their families through 4 main centers: Hadley Park, where DSellers is the director. We also have a small center in Williamson County in the College Grove community. We have a very large center out in the Donaldson area. And then our first center was the J.B. Knowles Senior Center on Broadway. And these centers have a wide variety of programs and activities, classes of all different descriptions, whatever interest area a person has. One of our main goals and purposes is to help senior adults remain as independent and as active as possible. So that means that we have dancing, we have all sorts of creative activities, we have ham radio operation, lapidary, which I wasn't even familiar with that until I started working at Senior Citizens, but lapidary, I guess all the rock hounds would know what that is, but that's involved in working with rocks and polishing and making jewelry and other kinds of things. We have porcelain doll making. Have good framing operations at 2 of our centers where we do quite a bit of framing work of pictures, wood carving. In addition to the classes and activities for very active senior adults, we have a broad range of services for people who may be more frail, or even seniors who are homebound and their families. We're involved through the United Way in the Living at Home Coalition, where we have a group of 6 agencies in town who provide services to 700 senior adults to allow them to be able to remain living in their own home. What we do there, we send in a social worker or case manager to determine what that person really needs to be able to remain independent, to prevent them from having to be in a nursing home, which we find is the thing that seniors seem to fear most. And once we determine what that person will need, then we recruit volunteers from the community to go in and help with errands or with personal care. Maybe they need a home-delivered meal, or maybe they need a group of people, such as recently we had a group from UPS who came out as part of United Way's Corporate Volunteer Day, where they went to a woman's yard who needed all kinds of yard work to just completely clean up her area so that she would not be evicted from her home.
Very good. Of course, Ms. Sellers, now you're the director of one of the 4 centers that Ms. Jarnigan spoke of, and that's the Hadley Park Center. Right. Why don't you give us a short history of the Hadley Park Center, and then we'll go back to Ms. Jarnigan to give us some information relative to the programs and the activities that the 2 of you are involved in.
Hadley Park Senior Center is approximately 6 years old, and it came about through a branch program of Senior Citizens Incorporated, which meant that there was a senior group who met at Hadley Park Community Building 1 day a week. It was some extensive renovation done at the community building, and through a mutual agreement with Metro Parks and Senior Citizens Incorporated, a 5-day-a-week center emerged there for seniors. We are serving the northwest Nashville area for seniors, persons 55 and older. We offer a variety of programs and services. We offer health programs, health screenings, travel program, education program, arts and crafts, recreation, physical fitness. We offer two types of physical fitness program. One that I think is quite unique. We have seniors come in 1 day a week and do tap dancing as a form of exercise, and then we have low pack exercise on another day, 1 day a week. Some of the services that we find most beneficial is the health programs and services. We have a retired RN to come into the center 1 day a week, and she monitors blood pressure, and it's open to anyone who wants to come to the center and have their blood pressure taken. Every Wednesday, they know they can come into the center between 10 and 11:30 and have their blood pressure taken free of charge. And the retired registered nurse, she keeps a documented record, so they will know how their blood pressure is functioning. Some of the craft program, I think, is quite unique. We try to provide craft programs that will be not only interesting but useful to the seniors. Some of these crafts we do is, for an example, these tennis shoes was decorated, would make lovely, inexpensive gifts for grandchildren.
Now, these are all projects carried on by members of the center. Now, how many members are we talking about here, Ms. Sellers?
We have enrolled at our particular center about 175 members who come in at least 1 day a week.
Very good. Now, let's talk about, and we'll get back to that activity later on. Let's talk about, Ms. Jarnigan, some of the funding sources that the center depends